this here is Helene. She is a 6-month-old koala, Joey. And yes, she is wide awake. It is time for her bottle. So she'll be wide awake every time she needs a feed, which at the moment is every 2 to 3 hours, even overnight. So she'll get her bottle and then she'll go back to sleep. But she is also starting to eat eucalyptus leaf now too. And that's probably why she's a bit wriggly, because I've got a little bit in my pocket. A little bit of a tease, hey?
Me too, Grover. I would love to be looking after baby koalas. So adorable. I just had to share that. It's so cute. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in, Grover, Kelly, Brian, Ariel, Charlotte, Real Time True Crime, Nancy. Welcome to membership. Yeah, so cute. So very cute. I just absolutely adore koalas, and baby koalas are the cutest. I remember when I went on my big road trip up north, stopping at one of the kind of, it wasn't, I think they call it a zoo. If Bonza was here, she could tell me, because it's actually at Port Macquarie, and just seeing the baby koalas on the backs of their mums was so cute. Hi Bonnie, good to see you in here. Oh yeah, me too. I would pay them to let me feed the baby koalas. And welcoming Rita and Sheila as well. I think one of the states here in Australia doesn't allow you to hold koalas. Like some of the wildlife parks, you can pay and hold a koala and get a photo taken. But I think one of the states here has got some regulations that doesn't allow that. But I'm yet to hold a koala. I would love to hold a koala. I still haven't actually seen one in the wild. You only had them here on the mainland. I've been here, what, 8, 9 years? And I've not yet seen one in the wild, but one day. Okay, we're going to talk about Daniel again, because it seems to be one of those things that we need to do. I'm kind of, over talking about Daniel, but, there's so much to pull him up on. And the audio that I've got for this live stream is pretty much full of lies. Yeah, they're not actual bears. They're mammals. They are marsupials, but they are not bears. They have a pouch. Do they have a pouch? No, they don't have a pouch. Sorry, just trying to wrap my head around it. They're not bears anyway. They're marsupials. They sleep for about 22, 23 hours a day, because they're pretty much high on eucalyptus the rest of the time. They don't get a lot of energy from the eucalyptus, apparently. So they sleep for about 23 hours, they eat eucalyptus, and then they sleep again. So they would actually be really boring pets, I think. But I wouldn't care, because they even look cute when they're sleeping. There's a koala. They're apparently koalas are just permanently stoned on eucalyptus leaves. There's a koala hospital, again, up around Port Macquarie, and I actually kind of disagree with this, because adult koalas aren't actually made for having, milk kind of stuff. That they give them Divedalac, which is the stuff that you feed orphan animals. It's like, milk for orphan animals. And they give them that just to make them more active, in my opinion, through the day, so that the tourists have got something to see. which I just really do not approve of at all. But yeah, they live on gum leaves. They're loners. They get stoned on gum leaves and then they hang out in their trees on their own for the rest of the day, just completely just sleeping it off. But they're cute. They're furry. I'd love a koala. One of the few things I bought myself on my road trip was a soft, fluffy koala. So, you know, you do these things. Okay. Yeah, let's just get on with Daniel. Okie dokie. Again, I've run the audio back just a little bit because I like to also be able to begin with the particular topic that they're talking about rather than partway through.
But it's the inconsistencies of it that have driven me crazy, right?
Well, the inconsistencies from me come from me not communicating myself properly, and I've worked over the last year on that, and also the inconsistencies of me speaking so much, right?
Yeah.
After you put so many words out in the world, the way it may come across on a certain day or a certain time may be different than another day, right? And as time goes on, the experiences I have with the case, it will become more detailed, right? As I
Yeah, Brian, we're getting on with it. I know the chatter at the beginning can be frustrating. Daniel is unbelievable. So he's trying to say a few things here. He's trying to say that the inconsistencies are because of his difficulties with communication. Because, you know, you have so much trouble communicating, Daniel. That's not the reason. And then he's trying to say, well, also, it's because, you know, over time, I've learnt more from the investigation. So I'm able to tell you more because I've learnt more from the investigation. And he's basically trying to say that over time, he learns more about what he should be saying, essentially. I know he needs to just do it in his own words instead of looking up words that he doesn't really understand and then basically coming out with BS that doesn't actually make sense. Because yes, some of it is because we have to actually dig for the meaning when he throws in words that don't actually fit. But you gotta wonder what goes on in his brain, if anything.
I remember more, and I go through the processes of trying to remember everything. And doing so, and I want to talk about some of the interviews as well. I've done at least 50 on-camera interviews.
So I remember when your mom had brought that up about, you know, being afraid to basically almost be outside, right? Because the thing is that like a lot of cases, you get a lot of looky-loos that are.
Oh, that's right. She was still trying to talk about the drones and stuff, and he was trying to move on, and explain why his story kept changing. Yeah. I stumble over my words and I throw in like everywhere, and I forget to add in personal pronouns when I'm lying, and you're so right. He does. He stutters. He slows down. If you're able to actually see him visually, you get the lizard lips happening. Just crazy.
Kind of passing by, you know, trying to look at the property.
Well, you get some YouTube creators that say they drove by the house 11 times.
You know, Right. You know, so I mean, I mean, you know, same with Brad's house too, as well, right? People want to know who's this neighbor, da 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 da. Da. But so I can understand why it does put some fright because again, I don't live in those shoes, right? It's not
Mhm.
like that's happened in my
Well,
life.
I go out in the yard sometimes, and there'll be cars at the end of the driveway just sitting there watching,
Just yeah,
just watching the house, and then I go outside, and then they just speed away.
Paranoia. I know we listened to this bit yesterday, but honestly, the paranoia with this guy is insane.
you know.
And it leaves a sour taste in your mouth. Why are they there, right?
Well,
It could be like endless reasons, right? But your mind, the human mind always defaults to negativity, right? They're not there for a positive reason. Yeah, I've done it, at least 50 on-camera interviews. I know CBC used to count them for me. And they used to say, I think it was like 17 or something like that the last time I talked to them, because they used to keep track. They said, Daniel, this is like your 17th interview you've done with us.
Wow, I really did run it back quite a bit. I thought, unless I've deleted the wrong... No, I don't think I've deleted the wrong one. I think this is the one that I queued up. Yeah, exactly right, Daniel. And welcome in, Ernestine and Deborah. He's so full of it.
And over time, talking that many times, of course, there's going to be inconsistencies, or I say things a different way, and it doesn't. The public takes it in a certain way or a certain perspective on the way I talk.
Yeah, Daniel, the public sees through your lies. I'm not sure if I can put that up on screen, but yes, Sandra, that is part of it. Actually, I should put comments on stage. And welcome in, Shirkez, Sandra. Did I welcome you in, Sky Painter? Welcome in, Joyous. He's now basically blaming his inconsistencies on the public. It's all our fault. We've misinterpreted what he said, so that every time the story changes, it's because we misinterpreted it. It's not because he changed the story. Because apparently we're all a bunch of twits.
And I think that's the main reason why the inconsistencies come from, because I'm willing to speak on any inconsistencies that people think that I may have or they may have heard. And I think a lot of the inconsistencies may come through hearsay from, third parties, like what they've heard from friends or family or anything of that nature, right?
He can't help himself. He really cannot help himself. Welcome in, Teresa. Oh, wow. 5th doctor's appointment this month. That's a lot, Teresa. It's like they treat him like a 3-year-old, isn't it? You did good, Daniel. Yep. Oh, I wonder if CBC say that as well when they finish. Can you imagine Angela saying, yeah, you did good, Daniel. You good boy. He's so full of himself. He's got no idea. Welcome in, Dodie. Yeah, exactly. He really has no angle, because that is exactly what he's doing here. He's gaslighting. He's saying the inconsistencies have got nothing to do with him. He's like, oh, they're because of hearsay. People have heard them from other people, but they're not what I said. So it's classic gaslighting. Someone needs to email like Lindsay and Angela and stuff and ask them if they give him gold stars when he finishes his interviews. They are so adorable. So adorable. Even then, Jack was worried about the world by the looks of it. Poor little man. You're okay. You're just exhausted and annoyed. I can imagine, Teresa. I can totally imagine. Yep. Good job, Daniel. Pats him on his head. We're only just really jumping into things, Summer Breeze, and welcome in. It really does come across that way, doesn't it? The way he's like, they told me this is your 17th interview now, and oh yeah, you did good, Daniel. Oh, holy crap! You're kidding me, right? $7,000 in the US for a PET scan. Thank goodness we've got a PBS. Some of those kind of more specialized tests we do pay for. But it's like, we'll pay so many $100 and then we get a Medicare rebate on probably about, I don't know, maybe half of that. It's so long since I'm a bit slack. If I'm supposed to have a test that's going to cost me money, I don't bother. Which I know is kind of slack. I just worry about the ones that I know are covered completely by Medicare. But here in Australia, those sort of things are mostly free. Times when I've had broken bones, and I mean, I had a full ankle reconstruction about 2.5 years ago. I was in hospital for several days. Even before then, there was all the x-rays and scans and stuff in the emergency room, and like I said, full ankle reconstruction. They put a pin in it. Cost me nothing. Yeah, and I also had crappy shoulder, which cost me nothing as well. Physio afterwards cost me nothing. Yeah. But we just call them, PET scan, CT scan, all those sorts of things. Wow. I often think about how people, here I am being flippant about if it's a test that's going to cost me money, I don't bother. But I think about people in the United States and it costs you for everything. It's scary. Welcome in, Jessie. And welcome in, Deborah. Yeah, we do have it good in Australia. It's not perfect, but I'm frequently reminded when I hear about the cost of medical stuff in the US that, we do okay. But once again, I got squirreled, so someone might have to be on squirrel. Someone might have to be the squirrel monitor today and stick squirrels in the chat when I get too far off. It does sound like you have to mortgage your house in the USA. It's so frightening. And I can't wrap my head around the cost of having a baby. Like, yeah. Welcome in, Hugging Demons, and yeah, let's get those squirrels happening. He's so gaslighting here. He's the inconsistencies that we have from Daniel. It's not because we heard him say them previously. It's because a third party said it. Someone else other than Daniel said it, and we've all just got the wrong end of the stick because he never really said anything that's inconsistent. Yeah, maybe some of his sock accounts might have said some of those things as well, but there's no inconsistencies there at all. Oh, you. Oh, okay. It's good that, that there are options, but it's frightening as well. Okay, let's hear. Sonny comes back at him. This is classic. But he is going to once again bullshit or try and bullshit his way out of it.
Mhm. Well, see, you had originally said, this was in, okay, I know I have the screenshot somewhere, but you originally said that you had all of Malaya's stuff, like that you had basically all Malaya's stuff. And then
Yep.
later on, you changed that to that she left it at Patty's house and
Her
stuff
clothes.
like that. Yeah.
Her,
So,
just, her clothes. Because I didn't, after the disappearance, I was in this.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there because I'll forget by the time we get through the audio. After the disappearance, not Lily and Jack, after Lily and Jack went missing, it's very... After the disappearance, seriously, Daniel, he's got that distancing language there. Because, first of all, let's not make it about Lily and Jack. We wouldn't want to do that. But it's the whole distancing language. Welcome in, JJ. Good to see you. So, he knows it wasn't a disappearance. He knows the full story. So, my brain is just blown. Every time he comes out with crap like this, it pisses me off. Yeah, good point. It's, again, his drawn out words. Seriously, just sod off, Daniel Martel. How about if you stop trying to deflect? Stop trying to lie. They just disappeared. Yep, in a puff of smoke. That's what he's trying to tell us. Probably going back to the alien abduction theory that I put out months and months ago, when basically they were saying, well, nothing to do with us, but we know that they didn't leave the property. Welcome in, Mad Cool. I still haven't... I've been holding off going back over her interview. I do need to go back through and listen to it again before I make up my mind. Exactly. We know they didn't just disappear. He's like so full of crap. He's so full of it. And he really does sound like he believes his own lies. Like, honestly. Well, Daniel only has to say it once and he believes it, in my opinion. I might be wrong, but it really does sound like he gets a new story in his head. He's like, I'm going to run with this. This works. Just going to run that back since I got stopped on the disappearance part.
yeah. So,
Her clothes. Because I didn't, after the disappearance, I was in this weird hemisphere, or weird sphere, we'll call it, where
after the disappearance, you were so out of it on drugs, Daniel, that you just don't have any clue.
I didn't want to move anything in the house just in case investigators wanted it, right? Or they needed to come back and collect any kind of evidence, or they needed to do any kind of, we'll use the word analysis on the property in any way. So I didn't want to move anything.
I saw that he'd done that, and I'm really keen to go and look at it. But I have a rule, when I'm going to do my own analysis, I have a rule that I will not watch anyone else's analysis first, because I don't want to be influenced by their opinion. So, like, I'm really keen to jump in and watch that, but I've got to do my own first so that it's not... so that mine's my own work, if you get what I mean. I've always, used that as my policy, because I I want what I put out to be genuine, and I want it to be my observations, not coloured by someone else's observations. Honestly. So now he's saying that he was just in this haze after the disappearance. So this is why his stories don't match, apparently. And that's the thing. I like to do my own analysis and then look at what other people have said. And then I can review my own, and I can quite often, when it's something like never a truer word, I can learn from them. But I think if you watch someone else's analysis and then do your own, you're always going to be coloured by what they say, even if you try not to. So I always do avoid watching, and not only that, like other content creators who aren't necessarily doing the deeper analyses like I do, like Justin and Sunny and that, I haven't watched their content either. Because I don't want to be coloured by other people's opinions. I found it frustrating that Malaya was really not giving much of anything. Daniel, at least he occasionally slips up and has these little leaks that help. But he's definitely a red flag. Yeah, it's my I grew up watching British comedy, and lots of British comedy influence on me, so Soto comes out way too often. Yeah, I agree. I'm just going to run back what he said there, because he's trying to talk his way out of it. Basically, Sonny's got him in a corner, so he's got to gaslight his way out of it. And there's a big problem with this, and I'll tell you that in a minute after we finish listening.
In this weird hemisphere, or weird sphere, we'll call it, appearance, I was in this weird
Sorry, just pause again. You can hear the cogs going in the brain here again. You can tell he's constructing right here on the spot, because there's not a lot of words happening. Oh, so true. Can you imagine him doing public speaking in prison? Now, just come across as really confident and just tell them, if they disagree with you, tell them they're wrong. It is also constricted. You can hear you can hear it all. Welcome in, Mr. Hemi. Yeah, it's like, let me do a course here to teach you how to talk your way out, and you can get early release. Oh dear. Okay. So we're listening to the stunted language here, the pauses. We can hear the cogs going as he makes up the story as he goes along.
Weird sphere, we'll call it, where I didn't want to move anything in the house just in case investigators wanted it, right? Or they needed to come back and collect any kind of evidence, or they needed to do any kind of, we'll use the word analysis on the property in any way. So I didn't want to move anything. So I was living around all Malaya's belongings, but it wasn't until she wanted some stuff where it's I had this thought of, gathering up all her and Jack's belongings, and majority of her clothes were never here.
Where to start with that? First of all, he's screwed up because in his mind he's somehow switched to gathering up Lily and Jack's belongings, but he's left Lily out of it. So he's talking about Malaya, and he said her and Jack's belongings. He didn't mention Lily at all. It's he had this sort of, because he says this a lot, gathering up all her and Jack's belongings. Did you forget about Lily, Daniel? Because she was there too. So Sunny's called him out. She said, basically, you know what you said at the beginning, that Malaya left all her stuff. She took off and she did exactly what she did with Cody and left all her stuff behind. And now he's turning around and saying, well, it's because I was in a haze and I just didn't think, and I hadn't thought to gather up all her stuff. Now, just a question for people. Where did Daniel sleep and get dressed? And the next question is, where did Malaya sleep and get dressed? Because the answer is the same thing. They shared a room. They were a couple sharing a room. Are you going to tell me that you wouldn't notice that in your bedroom half the clothes were gone? Like, you cannot tell me that, oh, he's opening the cupboard every day and Malaya's clothes are gone, but he doesn't notice until he thinks he's going to bag them up. It's unreal. You're so right, actually, scary. Yeah. Everything to nothing. He's so full of it. Oh, you can bet. He's going to get a law degree in prison. He'll be representing all the prisoners. Oh, yeah. Well, that makes it even worse, doesn't it? There's no cupboards or anything, no closets or cupboards. But somehow he didn't notice that all Malaya's clothes were gone. He's just about to do a Dale Warner. And for those of you who follow Chris McDonough, you'll know what I'm talking about when we get to it. But she certainly likes to shop. Nice new clothes that she had on in that interview. So that's the other thing. Surely he would have noticed. I'm guessing she had quite a lot of nice clothes. Because it sounds like in the interview where she's talking about, Lily liked clothes too, and she'd choose a handful of things and get Lily to choose. So, this is a girl who likes shopping. Welcome in, Unky. Oh, that's nice having your neighbour over for dinner. It's always a good thing. I mean, we can tell. This is pure gaslighting. This is pure backpedaling. Yeah. It's all crazy. It really is. He trips over his trips over his clothes. He trips over his lies so often. They could have thrown her clothes out and bought new ones. Quite possible. Look, when you look at that Hello Kitty t-shirt, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, given how these sort of relationships work, I wouldn't be surprised if for the 3 years that they were together, that Malaya may not have actually bought herself new clothes. So it is quite likely that she had no interest in the clothes that were at the trailer after she left. But, you know, he's made it pretty clear before that all her belongings were still there. And he's like, I was living around all Malaya's belongings. So he's actually contradicted himself as well. In the blog posted a video earlier that also pointed out when asked about the kids, Malaya listed consumer goods. Yep, brand names and characters. That's not describing what they like. It probably could have been her. I don't recall watching that, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was her who posted that. And so true, so true. Talking about, you know, we'll use the word if they need to do any sort of analysis on the property. Like, honestly, seriously, someone needs to buy him a proper dictionary, like a real one, where he can actually find out the meanings of words. Or maybe he just needs to download an app on his phone that teaches him what the right words are to use. I'm the opposite of that, so I will, a lot of the time, I'll lie in bed overnight and I'll watch things, and then in the morning I forget what it was. Welcome in, Kathy. Good to see you here. And I need to put the banner up, don't I? I forgot about that. So, for anyone who is unaware, this is audio from Sunny's mega live stream that she did with Daniel for 9 hours. Okay, so whoops, just run that back a smidge.
You know, she wanted some stuff where I had this thought of, gathering up all her and Jack's belongings, and majority of her clothes were never here, right? So me and Mom bagged up all the rest of her clothes, and there was like a few coats, there was some socks, there was some underwear, and it ended up being like quarter of a clear garbage bag, right? And so we set that outside, and investigators came and got it, and they brought it to Malaya.
They set it outside. Yeah, I reckon RCMP. I reckon RCMP are paying a lot of attention to what he's saying. You're good, Jessie. It's all good. Well, yes, at least Malaya wasn't trying to make up words. Malaya's at least trying to put it in her own words. I actually think when he says it that way, I have a really strong suspicion that when Malaya contacted him and said, when RCMP contacted him and said they wanted Malaya's clothes, that he's done exactly what he said. They only collected up her coats and socks and underwear and stuff, dumped it all outside in a bag, like when all the toys were dumped down on the bottom of the driveway, and well, like, yeah, here you go, come and collect it. And I reckon he probably threw out the rest of her clothes just in spite. But here's the crunch, which just shows that he's just talking BS.
Yeah, I was told.
But there was like all her makeup was left here, her hair dryers, basically everything except for the few belongings that she wanted. The very first thing that she wanted was I left this part out, and I don't know how many people know this. I talked about it on Charmaine's the other day. She wanted the ultrasound photos of Meadow.
Okay, so where to go with this? First of all, this is why I said he did a Dale Warner, because according to Dale Warner, when Dee Warner went missing, and this is the case from a few years back where Dee Warner was in her 50s, I think, and she was planning on the marriage was over, and they had lots of shared assets, like, really rich family. And she had basically organised for a friend to look after her daughter while she basically told Dale the marriage is over, and no one saw her again. And he had actually sealed her in a hydrogenous ammonia tank or whatever it was on his property. And one of the things he told investigators was that she'd left, but the only thing she'd taken was her hairdryer. So he's kind of done the opposite of that, and he's like, well, she's left, but she didn't take her makeup or her hairdryer. Really? Now, I could understand leaving without your makeup, but makeup's not cheap. Not if you use good stuff. But leaving without your makeup and your hairdryer? I mean, Malaya looks like she's lucky enough not to have curly hair, so she probably doesn't have to straighten it or anything like that. But according to him, all she took was her clothes. She planned ahead. She took her clothes, but she left her makeup, her hairdryer, and baby M's ultrasound. Well, if you were planning on leaving, one of the first things that you would make sure you had that you could get out of the house would be things like the baby's ultrasound. But, I mean, we know this is all BS anyway, because he already said earlier, oh, she left everything. But, oh, you can guarantee that she was not wearing makeup while she was with Daniel. But even still, when you think about, if you were to go and toss out all your makeup now and go and buy replacement for everything, that's a lot of money. Hairdryers, really, I mean, if you own a hairdryer, you use it all the time. Well, I do anyway, although I tend to mainly use my straightener. But these are things that you would take. He's trying to go with this whole narrative again of that she took all her clothes to Paddy's the day before. I really think if you were planning on leaving, it's the important stuff that you'd be gradually getting out of the house. And welcome in, Melody. I am very much afraid of that. I'm just hoping that when arrests are made, that they have warrants to go onto private properties and search. And that might be what brings them home. Welcome in, Dawn. Good to see you here. I'm not buying any of this from Daniel. Oh, yeah. I mean, even if, let's say, Malaya doesn't look like she goes minimal. It looks like when she does, she looks like the sort of person who does like to do her face nice and everything when she can. But let's say you're just someone who's, just got like foundation, lip gloss or whatever, mascara. Even just those three things alone, if you want stuff that's going to be decent, is going to be expensive. But by the time you look at all your different eyeshadow shades, everything, it's a heck of a lot of money. Exactly. Now, we've got to remember that this is a coercive relationship. I have no doubt whatsoever that before all this blew up, that there would have been a point in time where if she had hinted to Daniel that she was leaving, he would have basically threatened her with, if you leave, I'm going to keep the baby, because I do believe that had he had a heads up, he would have definitely used her as a weapon. But given what we know about Daniel, what we know about their relationship, you would definitely be getting things out of the house ahead of time. She would have been taking things to Paddy's, surely. Like, you would want to make sure that you've already removed the birth certificates and the things like that. So I just do not buy it. Yeah, this is what was said, that she asked for the children's birth certificates and toys for all three. And people made a big thing of she asked for the birth certificates, that must be because they're still alive. But I don't see it that way. I see that as that is evidence in her mind that they did exist. It's a solid thing that says, yes, these children were here on this earth. And and because they're her children, it's like, you had these children. So I can understand the attachment to birth certificates and stuff like that. Oh, heck yeah. If she was planning on leaving, there's no way knowing she would have left Cody's court documents there. Because she would have known how much Daniel would have weaponized it. Yeah, it is. It's the most dangerous time. And in terms of, getting things like birth certificates and stuff out, it's certainly not something that you would want to be having all packed together to take with you. I just think that were she really planning on leaving, then these trips to Paddy's for laundry, she wouldn't have just been taking her clothes out. She would have been taking bits and pieces out over time. Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. There are times when you can't take anything. But do you really think Daniel's the sort of person that would have noticed if she had have removed their birth certificates from wherever she was keeping them? He was permanently off his face by the sounds of it. So I think it would have been easy enough for her to have removed things. I mean, if it was a situation where she just left with her mother on the day of the briefing, then yes, you would think there would be nothing left behind. There would be nothing that she took with her. But what he's trying to establish here is that she pre-planned this and that she took the most obvious things out of the house, and that is her clothes, bunch of her clothes, and she took them out of the house, which would have been really obvious. But apparently she didn't take the obvious things, the less obvious things. I don't buy it at all. He's basically trying to cover his own lies, essentially. He's been caught out in a lie and he's got to gaslight.
Daughter.
Okay.
I gotta stop saying her name.
Yeah.
I'm just so used to in my actual in my reality, we'll call it, using her name, right? Because I don't usually speak openly on the internet, so I don't like to use her name very often. So because I don't think she should have brought into this or have her name have any involvement with the missing persons case in any way. She was collateral damage in all of this, we'll say.
She was collateral damage in all of this. Sorry, my brain just exploded. That's not how. So I haven't even got the words. This is supposedly Lily and Jack are missing. According to Daniel, he believes they're still alive. He seems to think that Malaya took them off the property. He won't say that outright now, but that's what he wants people to still believe. And Baby M, she was collateral damage in all this. I can't even begin to delve into the my brain is it is. It's an admission. But the fact that he referred to Baby M as collateral damage as well makes it even worse. Freud, we found your slip. He's just admitted again that what happened to Lily and Jack was not good. Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to find ways of wording it that aren't quite so blunt, but how you put it is probably the best way. He's saying there was damage that occurred, possibly intended. There was damage that was directed at a target. Whether it was directed at that target intentionally or not, there was damage intended. And then on the periphery, that was just collateral damage. They just happened to be there at the time. It's an admission.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very sad situation. This
It
whole
is.
Yeah, there's also that as well. It does. She's always been a possession. You listen to his conversation with Charmaine, and it's all about his daughter, and then he's got to correct himself and our daughter. It's about him having possession. She's his property. Yeah, Karen, exactly. Collateral damage is unintended outcome of damage to the primary target. Yep, you guys are getting what I'm saying. Now, he wouldn't intentionally hurt Baby M, I believe, because he does own her in his mind. But yeah. Here's the thing, Ariel. She won't remember it. In terms of, it won't be a memory that she can access. I can guarantee 100%, or I could, 1000% ironclad, her body is going to remember this for the rest of her life. This is a little girl who's going to have these moments in her life where she has these sudden trauma reactions, where something randomly triggers a reaction in her that she's not going to understand, that's going to be so overpowering. And that is what she will remember. Her body will remember it. She cannot come out of this free of damage. Exactly. Trauma lives in the body. She'll hopefully have a normal life from here on in. And, given her age, she won't have any actual memories, anything that she can tap into and say, this is what I remember. But it'll be those little things. It could just be a smell. It could, you never know what is a trigger for someone in times like this. But yeah, it's going to stay with her. Yeah, that will impact. So there will be that ongoing trauma of only getting to visit with her parents. And maybe, she'll get older and things will settle. And then she'll forget that too, because children tend to forget these traumas. But she will have attachment issues, I believe. Unless she's getting really good solid therapy when she gets older. I think there's going to be permanent attachment issues. Yeah, it sounds like that, and that is a good thing. But there's always going to be triggers. The body never forgets. The first 5 years, those pathways that form in the first 5 years are what build the identity, essentially. Language pathways. Oh, stupid neighbours. Sorry. All those pathways that it's like you're growing a bonsai and you trim out extra branches that don't really do anything. What happens is the brain strengthens the pathways that are reinforced. And then the ones that aren't reinforced kind of just get pruned away in the first 5 years. Welcome in, Aussie True Crime. Yep. And that's the thing. And, you know, loud noises, smells, even textured sensations. It never leaves you. Anyway, we'll move on from that because I don't want to dwell too much on that. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, my gosh. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that would really F up your parents. My mother's father, my grandfather, Mum never met him because he was basically taken as a POW when she was 6 months old, and she never met him. And no, not when she was when she was 2 weeks old, he was taken as a POW. When she was 6 months old, he was on a prisoner of war ship that was sunk, essentially. And that is something that stuck with my mother for her entire life. Even though Grandma remarried when Mum was 5, it is still something that completely screwed her up and certainly had an impact on our upbringing. I'll just put it that way. Yeah, anyway, moving on from that.
Because she went from being
Just run it back a little squidge.
collateral damage in all of this, we'll say it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very sad situation.
It is. Because she went from being like an average kid to being thrust into the spotlight in no regards of her own, right? She didn't ask for any of this. And
no.
Okay, this is where I get angry with Daniel. This is where I get really, really angry with Daniel. Where did we hear Baby M's name? Where did we see photos of Baby M? Because it didn't come from content creators. In fact, the majority of content creators that I know of have never posted photos of Baby M. Yes, unfortunately, there was a lot of talk about her from some content creators early on in the piece. But again, that came not from content creators originally. This came, first of all, from him and Durwood ringing into content creators and saying, guess what? Malaya's done a runner with the baby, and they named up the baby. And what was Daniel doing around this time, and what did he do for months and months afterwards? Every time he has had a visit with baby M, on his public profile, he was posting another photo. He's the reason people know her name. He's the reason people know what she looks like. And he's still posting her photos on his Facebook. And he has the gall to sit here and say, well, she was thrust into the spotlight with absolutely no regards whatsoever. He's the one that did that. I mean, how narcissistic can you be? She's a prop. She's definitely a prop. I would never ever share those images on here, not even with members. But if you've seen them, then you know exactly what Artemisia is saying. Part of it, I believe, was having a dig at Malaya. Look, I've had another visit with the baby. But also it was a PR thing. Putting photos up because he knew that his profile was public. He knew that people would be looking at it. So every time he had a new visit with the baby, he'd put up a new photo. Look at me, I'm a good dad. Look at me, I'm a nice person and I care deeply about my daughter, so I couldn't have possibly done anything to Lily and Jack. Because look at me with my daughter. And he was doing this week after week. And now he turns around and makes it sound like content creators or people on Facebook did this. No, Daniel, you did this to your daughter. You put her name out there because you wanted to come out and use Durwood to crap all over Malaya. You weaponized your daughter and you put her on the stage. We had not heard we had not heard the baby's name until him and Durwood came out with their Malaya's done a run into the reserve. We would have never seen photos of baby M because Malaya shut down her Facebook straight after she left the property, for starters. And also when she put it back up, there were no photos of baby M on there. The only reason we know what baby M looks like is because of him. Yeah, the photos that he posted on his Facebook page were all quite clear photos of her, close-ups, him grinning like a twit. Yeah.
It's a very tough thing to wrap your mind around, that, she was brought into this for absolutely no reason, just being our child. She's thrust into the spotlight, and that will change her life forever.
Yes, Daniel, that will change her life forever, and she has you to thank for that. Exactly. In fact, the media didn't even mention her. It makes me so angry. And it's like she was brought into this for absolutely no reason. No, Daniel, you brought her in here, into this, as a weapon. And as a PR stunt. You used her as a weapon against Malaya, and you used her for your own PR. Like, he's the one who thrust her into the spotlight. Nobody else did that. And he has the gall to turn around and be like, well, that's going to change her life forever. Yes, it will, Daniel. But that's not the only thing about that period of time that's going to change her life forever. And I think Daniel needs to understand that this little baby is going to have PTSD for the rest of her life, regardless of how well cared for she is going forward. That this little baby is going to have moments in her life for the rest of her life where something triggers a trauma response in her that she doesn't understand and she doesn't know where it comes from. Because of him. Oh, of course, yeah. And Logan and Jamie. But that was after Daniel was already... I know, that's one thing that I keep thinking so much about. I really hope that she somehow gets away to see her other siblings. I don't know how that works. I know sometimes, quite often, when a child's put in care, they don't get the opportunity to see their siblings. Yep, exactly. You're not supposed to post videos or name them. But he's weaponized her and used her as his PR. Oh. Now that's a really good point. Maybe they've changed the policy to allow for photos to be taken. But they certainly haven't changed the policy in terms of publishing photos. Yes, when you go back through his early interviews, they were all coded messages to Malaya. And he brought baby M into it as a weapon. I think the first time we probably heard about her was at the first vigil, the vigil after a month. And he was saying to the media to focus away from Malaya or something because it's affecting her mental health and affecting the baby. And then it was only a few weeks after that that all of a sudden Durwood comes out and we have Daniel and Durwood doing the tour of media, basically naming her up. And then we've got Daniel's photos all over the place. They cannot be named. They cannot be shown online. That's why this case in Manitoba, they couldn't even identify the mother because it would be identifying the children. So the rules don't apply to Daniel. Yeah, if you find out, let me know in terms of what the rules are. Hang on. I've just written that down as a question. Because I'm curious now too to know what the rules are in terms of whether or not it is allowable for him to be taking those photos. But regardless, he's certainly not allowed to be posting them on his Facebook. Yeah, they blurred her out completely. No arrests in that case. How is that not possible? Yamato was used as a pawn. How is that not possible that they've not arrested those people yet? It's possible that they're waiting for an autopsy report, maybe. I would have thought that they would have arrested them straight away. In Australia, they would have. But I guess different laws in different places. You know, my heart breaks for baby M because she has been thrust into the spotlight by her own father. She's been weaponized by her own father. It's just so wrong. Oh, I know. Baby M and I will go and visit Malaya in prison. His number one concern is definitely not her safety or anything like that. Oh, dear God. Just summarise it. Well, that's great. Yep. Let's just summarise all the things that Daniel does online that shouldn't do. It just... There are some elements of this case that are just getting me really angry at this point in time. And a lot of it has to do with Daniel's behaviours.
Saying is like, why aren't you guys taking accountability for that? So whether or not it was, say, Malaya that got up and you stayed in bed with Meadow, the bottom line is unless you're, because you're seeing this in a different light, but the bottom
That's what I
line
mean.
is,
Everybody has a different perspective. Sure, I take accountability. But every morning, from my point of view, every morning I lay in bed with Meadow and sleep. But
why
I do.
wasn't that door locked? Like the sliding door.
It doesn't have a lock on it because Lily and Jack never went outside of their own. They never.
Seriously. Yeah, that is how he's getting away with all these violations. He's breached his undertaking. It is totally clear in the undertaking that if he breaches it, he gets arrested. Sorry. And yet he got away with that. So much for protecting victims. He's saying he's taking accountability, and now he's going into explaining why it's not his fault. Sure, I take accountability, but, you know, from my point of view, I always lay in bed with Meadow every morning. Sorry, I know I shouldn't. The name just comes out and it's their fault. You know, I'm taking accountability because, you know, my job is to lay in bed with the baby. So yeah, I'm taking accountability. And now we didn't have to lock the door because they never ran away before. That they never went outside on their own. Well, Daniel, you've both given different stories about that. And your own mother has dumped you in the crapper with that one. How many times has Janie told us about the kids being outside and Jack without his coat and boots and she has to ring Malaya? And now Daniel's saying they never went out on their own. That about sums it up, doesn't it, Hemi? Yeah. Totally. 100%. 100%. Completely. Yeah. It's frustrating. I get that this is a complicated case. I get that their focus is on working towards making arrests. But the things that they are ignoring in the meantime, that's what really ticks me off about the RCMP right now. The crap that's going on, and they're not paying any attention to it. And that includes Daniel thinking that he can just completely come out and say what he wants and there's no consequences. Seriously though, like, why isn't the door locked? Oh, because they never ran away. They never went outside on their own. Except the many times when Janie had to ring up Malaya and say Jack's outside without boots and coat.
Meadow and sleep. But
Why
I do.
wasn't that door locked? Like the sliding door.
It doesn't have a lock on it because Lily and Jack never went outside on their own. They never ran away when they knew I was around. They listened to me. They never tried to run away. It was only with Malaya they didn't listen to, right?
Holy crap. Can he dump himself in it any more than what he just has? They never ran away when they knew I was around. They listened to me. They never tried to run away. It was only with Malaya they didn't listen to. That actually makes me have to stop and remind myself to breathe. Because when you read between the lines of that, what he doesn't realise is that he is basically admitting these kids were scared of him. They knew that if they went outside when Daniel was around, that they were going to get yelled at. Janie has told us that herself. They knew that there were going to be negative consequences if they went outside when Daniel was around. They listened to him because they were scared of him. I nearly swore. But, and this is the same line that Malaya told RCMP. But he's admitting here, these kids were afraid of him. They were too afraid of doing the wrong thing and being punished for it or being yelled at for it. And what he's saying here in terms of it was only Malaya they didn't listen to. Now, can we just understand what he's saying here? He's basically saying that if Malaya allowed them to do things, then he would guilt her into, you let them get away with everything. Look at you. You let them go outside and Jack takes his jacket off and his boots off. So the criticism here, saying it was only Malaya they didn't listen to, he's basically saying she didn't discipline the children. Because in his mind, discipline is yelling, screaming, hitting. This is why Jack was throwing boots at the bus driver. These little babies were scared of this asshole. It just makes me so mad. Yeah, tell us that, Daniel. What happened when they didn't listen to you? Is that when when Jack got his black eyes? Is that when you'd be yelling at them? I just need to compose myself a little bit. Yep. When he had zero sleep, when he hadn't slept, or when he was tweaking. These kids would have been in a constant state of fight or flight. They would have been constantly worrying when Daniel was around that what they did could have had a negative impact on them. Yep. Exactly. They would be cranky if they were tired and hungry, which just gives him more of an excuse to get angry with them and get abusive. When I heard Wade say that, that broke my heart. And it wasn't just, didn't he say basically even if you put your hand near her, she flinched? My heart breaks for these babies so much. He basically set things up so Malaya couldn't be a parent, for starters. He undermined her as a parent. And I believe that in that interview where she said that she was a good mother, I believe that's where that comes from. Because for 2 to 3 years, he undermined her and told her she was not a good mother. And he's telling us that right here. We've heard this from him and Janie so often. And I know people got triggered hearing Malaya say, I'm a good mother. But this is why. She was saying it to convince herself. Because she'd been told that she wasn't. They didn't listen to her. They only listened to Daniel. They would never run away for Daniel. Thank you for looking it up. Right. So the policy in terms of baby M, it is strictly prohibited. And especially the posting of these pictures on social media. So it should actually be reported to the Department of Community Services and the pictures taken down. It's a breach of a signed contract. Whoa. Well, you screwed up, didn't you, Daniel? The height of him to carry on about the public exposing baby M to all this. So occasionally during a holiday or a birthday, one can be taken with prior consent and approval. And I can bet they still aren't meant to be put on social media. Thank you for looking those up. It's good to know that. It could, if they were paying attention. Well, are they not paying attention to the fact that he's been posting the baby's face all over social media? Are they not paying attention to the fact that he's using her as a trophy and as a weapon? Thank you so much for looking that up for us, Tamaru. It just makes me all the more angry with Daniel. Because they would have made that pretty damn clear to him. And even if they gave him the rules as like a booklet or something, well, this is a guy who can spend freaking hours on Google looking up how polygraph exams work. So maybe he should spend some of that time looking up how CPS works. Yep. He's skating by and everything. You know, I would love to see him go to court on the 3rd and the judge just decide to lock him up. Turn around and say, I'm not granting you bail. He really is a POS. 100% POS, and he's apparently getting away with it. I usually hold back on the rage against him because it opens up to all sorts of serious rage, but right now, yeah, it would be really lovely if the judge just went, yep, locking you up. And look, my other question too is this. Malaya's got a lawyer. So why isn't her lawyer pushing for action on these breaches that are happening? You'd think she would want to be actually weaponizing that sort of shit.
Right.
They never ran away when they knew I was around. They listened to me. They never tried to run away. It was only with Malaya they didn't listen to, right?
Well, which you've said, before about that too, and then you also said,
I was amazed by the extension to September. Can someone type in what POS stands for? A piece of something. Because I probably can't say it. Well, no, here's a piece of crap. Just change crap to a word starting with S. We don't know who brought the charges against Daniel, and because it's under a suppression order, we can't really speculate on it here either. Point of sale, yep. Oh dear. Yeah. I know they've got the end goal in they're headed towards the end goal, but I want to see people facing consequences right now.
That it takes two of them to basically close that door. That
Yeah,
both Jack
well,
and Lily.
when they put all their body weight into it, it's a fairly heavy door. When they put their body weight into it, they can close it all the way. But they never usually close it all the way. Like we'd always have to say, like, Lily, you have to close the door when you go behind you, or Jack, you have to close the door when you go behind you when you go outside, into the backyard. And most of
A bit of a sniff happening there, Daniel. Interesting. They can close it if they put all their body weight into it. In other words, it's freaking impossible for them to close that door. Honestly, not only that, I've shown this before in videos, but when you watch Ali closing the door, you can see her give that last pull on the door as she closes it, because it's dropped on its runners and it needs to have that last pull to make it come up a bit and latch. So they could not physically shut that door all the way regardless, because they would not be able to latch it. It's interesting. What stood out to me here? Yes, exactly. The silent sliding door that nearly shakes the entire trailer. But it's silent, even though you can tell that it dropped on its runners. Well, apparently they don't hear anything. The beat of story in this door so aggravates me. But again, he's told us something here without meaning to. He's turned around and he's talking about, if they put their body weight into it, they can close it all the way. Now, we know that there's no way Jack would have had enough body weight or strength to have shut that door. And the reason I'm saying that is because he starts by saying, like, we'd always have to say, Lily, you have to close the door behind you. And then I think he realizes that he's basically showing that he's been blaming Lily for stuff. And he throws Jack in as an afterthought. Or, Jack, you have to close the door when you go behind you. You can hear the sentence when he's talking about Jack isn't even a proper sentence, because he's thrown it in at the last minute and he knows that Jack couldn't shut that door. But the thing is, what he's saying here is it sounds to me like Lily was expected to basically almost take on a parenting role. It was up to her to make sure that if her and Jack went out, that she made sure that door was closed. It sounds to me like, you know, if Jack did something wrong, it was probably blamed on Lily. I think Jack was the one that copped the brunt of the violence. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot of psychological damage happening there. And I think that's why when we hear Janie say, Lily would always say, "Come on, Jackie, let's go, Jackie." Because she was expected to be in charge of her brother, essentially. Mm. Anyway, we'll keep going with that.
Sometimes they never closed the door. I mean, as Mom said before, like sometimes.
Yeah, that's the word for it, parentification. Lily was supposed to. It was her job to supervise Jack and make sure Jack didn't do anything naughty. And then Jack would suffer the consequences. Now, while I'm looking at it, this is a photo that's bugged me for a very long time. And it's not Jack's black eye that bugs me or him holding his shoulder in that weird way. It's Lily that bugs me, because when I look at Lily here, she looks like she has an egg on her forehead. On the side, on the right-hand side, if I'm looking at it here, like the side closest to Jack, there seems to be a very distinct egg on her head. I'm wondering if other people see that or if that's just me imagining it. Unfortunately, I can't blow it up. But it, yeah, anyway. Yeah, she was expected to look after him. She was expected to keep him in line. Yeah, sadly, I think these kids were made to pay for a lot. You can see it, Callie? Yeah, I can see a definite, there's a redness and you can actually see a definite line to it. Yeah. Poor little thing. That could well be the case. Because you would think that it would be a natural instinct for a mother or someone to pull her hair back for her. I mean, we had those little metal clips when I was a kid that you bend them and they close. Exactly, yeah. When a child is parentified, they do. They grow up and they learn they're responsible for others in their adult lives. But not only that, they learn that they can't reach out and ask for help because that's not their role. So they go through life they never learn how to ask for help or for assistance with anything, because they've been taught that it's their job to be responsible for everyone else. Yeah. I know. She always smiled. There's another photo of her with a big gash on her leg. And if you pay attention to that, you probably don't see, but it looks like she also has a black eye. It's hard to tell because of the shadows, but she's always smiling. Yep. But they would have been taught that it was their fault. What these little babies went through. It's so heartbreaking. Yeah. Did we have that confirmed by anyone? I know there is that photo of her in that pink jumper, that oversized pink jumper where she looks like she's pulling her hair out. But I'm just wondering if we had that confirmed by anyone or if that was just a Daniel story. I remember Daniel saying it, and I remember people talking about it, but yeah. Okay, I need to lighten the mood for a minute. Something completely not Dan related.
I had a glass of wine and poured another. Told the bad boy come right over. Left both doors open wide. He said you best be armed, I'm coming inside. I grabbed my pew and some Merlot. Called my husband, said here we go. Message detectives on my phone. The bad guys coming, I'm not alone. They're chasing me down the road, doing 140 in my Mercedes load. Call 911, but they're too slow. Gotta reach the cops before they know. 6 police cars on my face. Ski mask dude in a Honda Chase. I'll race them all with my V8 while calling Ralph. Don't make me wait. He said slow down. I said no way. These hillbillies want me today. Pulled up to the station gate. The cops just stared and made me wait. They're chasing me down the road, doing 140 in my Mercedes load. Called 911, but they're too slow. Gotta reach the cops before they know. 'Met detectives at Tim Hortons. Played the tape of all his warnings. Mad Dog said you did just right. While 9 more crates come out at night. Husband told him I'm not crazy. Sent the cops home being lazy. Tomorrow getting faster wheels for when more villains chase my steel. They're chasing me down the road, doing 140 Mercedes load. Called 911, but they're too slow. Gotta reach the cops before they know.
Yeah, you're right about a lot of that stuff. A lot of that stuff does tend to start around puberty. You get a lot of different kind of, self-harming kind of things happening at that age. Oh, true. I must admit, my friends' kids were around that age and could get the door open and shut. But when I see Ali having to actually lift her shoulder a bit and lift the door to latch it, I realised they certainly wouldn't have been able to latch it, that's for sure. Yeah, and I wondered about that too. It's good to see you in here too, BTTV. Did you see that Shanda commented on your thingy? I was pretty pleased to see that she resurfaced. Yeah, knock knock, who's there? You're the Drake Daniel. The thing with what you're saying there too, Grover, oh, really? There's photos of Jack where he seems to have bald spots, which goes back to what you're saying. We are going to have to make fun of Daniel for a moment because now Mouse wants to go outside. He could have coordinated that with that momentary break, but no. And he's going crazy. He's dancing around, so I better whack this on.
So tall, the cars are parked and watching me, they all they speed away when I step out the door. They take my pics and videos galore. Drones are buzzing high above my place, yet none appear online to show their face. No one sees my mom making the ground, just silent lights without a sound. In the sky, lights of every color shining bright. They flock to watch me every night, hoping for a glimpse or a fight. I run so fast they can't keep up. They chase me through the wasted slush every night.
I have actually done a cartoon version of Mouse and a Mirror, which I tried to bring up, but I'm not sure if it'll let me because I tried to actually put it in here earlier, and for some reason it just didn't. I'll try again. It's probably going to be a nothing still. Oh no, there you go. I was contemplating putting that on a mug. Or something similar, but you know, Mouse being a typical turd in a mirror, just looking at him like, what the heck are you doing? So yeah, it had definitely crossed my mind. In terms of merchandise, I'm still looking into. I think there's a Canadian site that I can add in. I was looking at what other content creators have, and it seems like Fourth Wall, which is the one I've got now, is the most commonly used one. I realized that my in terms of prices, I've certainly set my profit margin as low as I can, which means that mine are certainly cheaper than a lot of other people's. But I still want to find a better solution. So what I'm looking into at the moment is Shopify. I think I can actually have a few different online stores that I combine into Shopify, and then I think I can link Shopify to my YouTube account. So I'm still working on it. Yeah, the problem with things like AliExpress and stuff is that you get no control over the quality of the printing, for starters. But also, it would basically mean people would have to be ordering them through me, so it's adding like extra steps in. I think just practically, I think it would probably not work too well at all. I know for me, the other thing is that it's removing privacy from people, because let's say I was like, I can order these mugs on AliExpress. If you pay me and give me your address, suddenly you've got people who, if they want the stuff, they've got to give me their address, and they've got to give me money, and they've got to trust that I'm going to get this organised. And I know there's people who would be a bit reluctant with that sort of thing. The other side of it is too, there are some days when I'm putting in like about 12, 14 hours on my channel. So I honestly just don't have the time to manage an online store. So I need something like Fourth Wall that I can set up and leave. And just, add things to here and there, because I simply don't have the time to add anything else to my list of jobs. But yeah, I'm gonna certainly. I was trying to do a design that had Taka in it as well, and so far that's not working. Sometimes the AI prompts just go out the window, basically. I did have someone around who used to be really good at getting the prompts right and getting really good results from the prompts, but they're kind of doing their own thing now. So, I kind of got to figure that out for myself. But yeah, I'm still working on that one with mouse and a mirror. I would definitely put on a mug, but I'd like to try and do one with Taka as well, and maybe some individual ones just with a mouse or just with a mirror. But yeah. Well, that's the thing. I've got with my polymer clay, I've got so many pendants that I should be listing on like Etsy or something like that. But I think about it and I think, but then if I sell them, I've got to actually go and I've got to do the postage stuff and all that sort of stuff. And my brain goes, no, that's too much. So instead I have all this polymer clay stuff that I'm not doing markets at the moment because insurance is too much. So I end up with a bunch of stuff that I'm not really doing anything with right now. Anyway, let's get my ugly mug off the stage and get Daniel.
That fault because
Daniel
I don't
back
slide
up.
it all the way close.
Okay, sorry. A little bit more of Daniel. Let's get past this door. The next part I do want to definitely still do today it's him basically. Oh, hello. Okay, well, I just got completely snubbed. I just got completely snubbed by Mouse. He just came back inside, trotted straight through, and went out to the hallway because that's where the warm heater is. Can I send things to print and get paid through copy with donations? I'm not sure. There's got to be a way around it, certainly. I do also want to that design that I put, and I'm not sure if it'll let me put it. Hang on. That that's actually someone else's artwork there. So I want to hone that in and do a version of that can go on a mug. I also want to do something for Maddie. I have got one of my own. Did I finish that? I think I did a Tinkerbell illustration of my own, but I don't know if that's good enough to put on a mug. I might share it with people tomorrow and let you guys decide if it's good enough to put on a mug or not. But I certainly would like to put some things up for Maddie as well, because you know these cases do touch us so much. But I certainly would like to do a cleaned up version of that Parker thing that's my own artwork as opposed to someone else's, and add that to a mug or merch or something. So yeah, I'm certainly still working on it, still working on designs. It's a work in progress. Anyway, let's get through this sliding door with Daniel, and then I do want to, if we've got time, listen to the whole Jamie thing, which again is him making up BS, essentially.
Well, you were asked this question on Charmaine's about this, but you
Mhm.
kind of, I feel like, double talked on this a particular part. So the rational thing to do is, if two children are missing, that you would run over to your moms and say, like, Mom, are the kids in here?
Mhm.
That was never said. And then when Charmaine and you talked about it the other day, and then you said you made a comment about, well, when my mom was outside, type of thing, like the dog would have jumped on her. But you made the comment as if to say, well, your mom was outside, but yet your mom said she didn't come out for 10 minutes and she heard you yelling.
Okay. I need to look into that. I don't remember on Charmaine's him saying that Janie was outside. I don't know if any of you can remember. Just writing myself a note. I don't know if Sunny's just misinterpreted, because I don't recall that being part of the conversation. But I could be wrong. But essentially, she's calling him out here and saying, look, first of all, why did no one go and ask Jamie, are the kids here? And then secondly, she's saying, well, you said Janie was outside. Anyway, he's gonna clear things up, because he does that, because Daniel's really good at clearing things up.
Can you clear that up for me? Because, because that was a contradictory to me of your mom.
That was a lot. That was a lot right there, jumping around. Give me a step by step what you want to know, and I'll tell you.
Okay, so this is Classic stalling strategy. Oh, ask me the question again. I didn't quite catch that. So if you can tell me again, then that gives me time to think of my answer.
Okay, so basically, according to you and Malaya, you basically both came outside, and that basically Malaya wasn't doing anything, and you
Yeah,
talked
Malay.
about
Well, I can go over when we first came outside. Like we went around the fence and we stood in front of Mom's RV, and that's when Malaya asked me, "Should I call 911?"
Yeah. She has, in this part of the interview, she's done a really good job of trying to call him out on his BS. And he's basically just, again, come up with his own versions of the story. Whoops, sorry. Yeah, but also they didn't ask her, have you heard them or have you seen them? Janie claims that she can see through the window of her RV. Now, if the kids have got outside, they're not in the yard, logically that would mean they've gone down the driveway. So wouldn't you think that you'd want to ask Janie, did you see the kids in the driveway? Did you hear the kids in the driveway? He should have been called Dambush because he's full of beans. Totally. I don't know. The bucket story is a made up one, I think. That's a few content creators just taking liberties. But anyway, so he's now falling into his own narrative, his old narrative, putting it on like an old pair of shoes, basically. He's got to warm up to it first, but he's going to talk about the cabins in the woods, and this time he's going to be so careful about how he refers to them. So just a few seconds back first.
and you
Yeah,
talked
Malay.
about
Well, I can go over when we first came outside. Like we went around the fence and we stood in front of Mom's RV, and that's when Malaya asked me, "Should I call 911?" Right? Like I don't have a helicopter. We don't hear the kids in the yard. I'm going to search, obviously. So I ran out when she was on the dispatch call, called out 911 at 10:01. I ran up to the cabins in the woods because that's where we would take the kids up, or me and Mom would take the kids up to the cabins usually, or my biological children. They built some camps up there, and with my assistance.
He is tripping over his words so much here. He knows the narrative that he wants to put out. He's practiced this narrative before. Malaya called 911. I ran up to the cabins. I can see your comments, Summer Breeze. I'm not sure if everyone's seeing everyone's comments right now, though. Oh yeah. Oh cool. Everyone can see. Good to know. He knows this narrative, and he's trying for this narrative. But there's something about this whole running up to the cabins in the woods that seems to trip him up every time. Yeah. It depends on which version you hear, don't you? He was either out searching when she called 911, or he was, up in the woods when she called 911. Janie's like, it was a bad idea, she shouldn't have done that. So he's kind of running it all in together. Why didn't he what? Sorry, what have I missed? He did. He told her to wait in another interview. It is. It's a really, really simple question. I missed that. You know, why didn't they check with his mum in the RV? Not just to see if they were in the RV, but like I said, because she apparently can see everything out through the windows of her RV. She can see the driveway, and her dog barks. So logically, that would be the first thing. Did your dog bark? Did you see the children? Did you hear the children? But no, they didn't think to go and ask her. That's my question too, because even here with this narrative that he's told a million times, he's still tripping up over it. Yeah. It is. It's the same cadence with I ran up to the cabins, but this time he managed to stop himself before he said to the kids to the cabins in the wood. He's still not answering the question. He's reverted back to, and this is something he does a bit, and Janie does it too, they revert back to their narrative when they have a question that they can't answer. I know. I don't know why they call them cabins. Yeah. You can see them on the tour with Janie. It's just branches piled up, basically.
10:01. I ran up to the cabins in the woods because that's where we would take the kids up, or me and Mom would take the kids up.
He also had to repeat the I ran. So I ran up to the cabins. So this is something that catches him up every time.
To the cabins usually, or my biological children, they built some camps up there, and with my assistance. And so I ran up there because I thought, that would be the first place they went to, right? Was the cabins.
That's what I'm asking. Why wouldn't you go over to your mom's and see Mom? Is Jack and Lily in the trailer?
Because I would be able to hear them, right? Because if they were in the trailer, I'd be able to hear them. It's not like it's completely soundproof, right?
He's just crapped on Janie's own narrative. I would be able to hear them if they were in Janie's trailer or in her RV. So apparently none of them heard the kids allegedly getting out into the driveway and running down the driveway. And it has not occurred to Daniel that they're not in the yard. So if he's like, we would have heard them if they were in the trailer, then the logical response to that is, well, your mum should have heard them outside, so why didn't you go in and ask her if she'd heard them or seen them? Yeah, I know. The cabin thing is a sensitivity, in my opinion. Yeah, he's not allowed to see his biological children. Their mother has basically gone, yeah, sod off, Daniel, you're not getting access to these children. Yeah, he was always in a hurry. Mighty Mouse did it again, and I haven't put comments back up. So I realise that part of this is, in the moment, Sonny probably didn't think about a better way of asking him the question, as she gave him an out. But it shouldn't matter, because if any of this had happened, even if she's saying to him, well, why didn't you go and ask your mum if they were in the trailer? I would expect to hear, well, they wouldn't have been in the trailer, but we did go and ask her if she'd heard them. We asked her if maybe she saw them in the driveway. But, you know, he misses it completely. I think it was suggested they were probably made around Easter time. It sounds like his kids were there at Easter time, which was only a few weeks before Lily and Jack went missing. So I think that's why they were still kind of green. Yeah. I'm still leaning towards him and Janie both talk about meeting on that road, which is basically right towards the cabins. And I can't help wondering, I hope that they took dogs to those cabins, because I do wonder if there was evidence there, or if the children had been put there for a while or something. Yeah. Oh yeah, he would know that they wouldn't be in the RV because they weren't welcome in the RV. They couldn't even get treats out of Janie's fridge. Only her grandchildren could. But and this is where I'm saying it's a shame that Sonny questioned him this way, because it gave him an out. If he was going to be genuine, if he had a real answer, you know, if any of this happened, then I would expect him to say, well, we thought about checking to see if she'd heard them or to see if she'd seen them through the window. But he used her question as being literal and managed to avoid that part of the question because it was unspoken. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that very well.
Okay, so go on. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I ran up to the cabins and then I came down behind Mom's. When I was coming down,
So I ran up to the cabins. Sorry.
I was screaming for Lily and Jack. And that's what triggered Mom to, wake up, because she heard me screaming. And when I came back down, I went straight into the house. And see, at that point I haven't talked to Mom yet. I ran straight into the house to go find the keys, right? And jump in the vehicle and start searching.
Okay, so just visualize this for a moment. Apparently they wake up, they can't see the children. So they go out and they stop in the driveway in front of Janie's RV. Daniel and Malaya are apparently standing straight in front of Janie's RV. Malaya's like, should I call 911? And Daniel says, no, just wait. Which I believe he did make her wait to call 911. She wasn't supposed to. But either way, in most of his stories, she's not calling 911 when he runs up to the kids to the cabins in the woods. She's just left standing there like a weird person standing in the middle of that driveway. So apparently he runs up to these cabins, which takes 30 seconds. Now, apparently Malaya immediately, or instantly, sorry, had the feeling that she needed to call 911. So she calls 911 while he's running up to the kids to the cabins in the woods for 30 seconds. Now, we know that 911 call will have gone for more than 30 seconds. Daniel claims that he ran back down. He clearly ran straight past Malaya, who was on the phone to dispatch. And in this version, he doesn't tell her that he's getting in the car. Malaya just evaporates in this version of his story because he's forgotten to put Malaya back into the narrative. So he runs back down behind Janie's RV. He doesn't see Malaya because she's now not in the narrative. She doesn't exist in the narrative at this point in time. She's gone. So he runs straight into the house to get the keys. And he hasn't spoken to Janie. And then he jumps in the vehicle and he starts searching. So it must be when he jumps in the vehicle and that he starts searching that Malaya suddenly reappears in the timeline and is still standing in the middle of the driveway like a mullet, while basically Daniel has run up into the woods, he's run back down, he's run into the house, he's got the keys, he's run out to the car and he's left, and Malaya's just standing there, invisible, because she wasn't in his story after he came back down from the woods. But according to Janie's story, she heard Daniel yelling and she came out about 10 minutes later and saw Malaya standing in the driveway. So what Daniel is saying is that he did all this running around, he hopped in the car and he took off. And Malaya just stood there in the driveway like a complete mullet for 10 minutes doing nothing with Meadow on her hip before Janie finally decides to come out. Does that really sound... Does it sound real to you? Because it doesn't sound real to me. Their timelines have just completely crumbled here. What was Malaya doing? Just standing there for 10 minutes with the baby on her hat, like on her hip? Mullet. I'm not sure. It's just a saying. It's just an Australian saying. Basically, it's like sitting there like you're just not moving or saying anything or doing anything. It makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't know where the term comes from, saying someone is standing there like a complete mullet, but it's like saying they're standing there like a statue, like a dumb, brainless individual who's... I don't know how to translate it. Sorry. Yeah, and Janie never says to them, "Oh, I just heard them." Apparently they never thought to ask Janie any of this stuff. It is definitely lost in translation. Like a black brainless twat waffle, that works better. That is pretty much what I was trying to say. The full term is like a stunned mullet. I don't even know what a stunned mullet is. But it's just something we say in Australia. If someone's standing there not doing anything, we say they're standing there like a stunned mullet. I don't know what it means. I can't tell you, but it basically means like a brainless twat waffle. Oh dear. I'm sorry. Sometimes these Australianisms come out and they're really hard to explain because there's just like, you know, they just have their own meaning. Yeah, no, Jack's hair was not combed there. I'll just let him finish this a little bit because then I think a mullet is also some sort of seafood, or I don't know. A mullet is something else as well, apparently. Well, in Australia, a mullet is like a haircut. But for some reason, we say the term like a stunned mullet. I don't know. Got it. Right, thank you. A mullet is a fish. So a stunned mullet, presumably, if it's stunned, it's just basically floating on the surface of the water doing nothing. Got it. Yeah, well, we call them bogans. So we would call it a bogan haircut. It seems to be a universal thing that the mullet haircut is a bogan thing or a southern redneck. But yeah, a stunned mullet is basically a fish, a stunned fish. Oh, I'm sorry, I had no idea. I was going to confuse people by saying that. But yeah, basically that's what Daniel's trying to tell us here. So she just stood there while he ran up the hill, and then she stood there while he ran past and did nothing, and it makes no sense. I'm just going to let him finish this bit about the not telling Janie. Oh, I think he has. Hang on, I'll run it back a little bit. I think we got that bit.
For Lily and Jack. And that's what triggered Mom to, wake up, because she heard me screaming.
Notice he said triggered Janie to wake up, not, woke her up or caused her to wake up. Triggered again is more of a an alarm kind of reaction. There we go. Thank you. I'm so glad there's someone who can look these things up for me. Like a stunned mullet is a classic Australian and New Zealand, I didn't know that, slang expression meaning to look completely dazed, shocked, vacant, as unable to comprehend what is happening, and basically standing there like a stunned mullet. An unconscious or newly caught fish lies still with wide, goggle-eyed stare and gaping mouth. There you have it, guys. That is what looking like a stunned mullet means. Oh dear, yep. He gives himself away a lot with his language, he really does. No, she was not hysterical, that's for sure. She was more like a stunned mullet. Oh dear. I have no idea when I say these things that people are going to sit there and go, what the heck are you talking about? Okay, we'll just listen to this bit and then probably wrap it up.
And when I came back down, I went straight into the house. And see, at that point I haven't talked to Mom yet. I ran straight into the house to go find the keys, right, and jump in the vehicle and start searching.
You need a sip of water, I can tell, or something, or more coffee.
Yeah, so this is where he goes for another break. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Now, for some reason, when you talk about knocking the fish on the head, I suddenly have that ridiculous Monty Python skit in my head where they're slapping each other with a fish. Yep, we use dumb as a post here, but when you say someone is dumb as a post, that's kind of not implying that they're moving around, that they're like just standing there like a stunned mullet, whereas if they're standing there like a stunned mullet, that means they're just like a statue. That fish sketch is priceless. Oh, I don't know, Grover. Is Belinda live somewhere? That's my favourite too. In, I don't know, I think second year at university, because I had some pretty heavy duty subjects, I also did Latin for 1 year, just because it was a bit of a bludge. And before our final exam, our lecturer told us that he set us homework, and the homework was to go and watch The Life of Brian and the Holy Grail. The Life of Brian, just because of the Latin on the wall, but the Holy Grail just because it is legendary. But yeah, Monty Python is pure legend. That's got to be one of the best, hasn't it? The Ministry of Silly Walks. That is so good. It is so good. You saw a live production. Oh my gosh. You would never stop laughing, would you? Would you? Like, so classic. You have a Monty Python based role playing game. How much fun would that be? I grew up on Faulty Towers, on The Goodies, every single bit of classic British comedy. My dad could do a perfect imitation of "Oh Betty." Was that was Faulty Towers, wasn't it? No, that was Some Mothers Do Have 'Em. All those British comedies. I grew up on all that. My parents lived in the UK. Good on you, Mouse. My parents lived in the UK for a few years. And my dad was a pirate. He worked in pirate radio. But Dad loved British comedy. So we grew up watching all the British comedies. And yeah, you know, The Goodies was on pretty much every night. You'd watch The Goodies, or just all those brilliant, hilarious British comedies. And of course the 90s ones as well. I love Red Dwarf. I love Britass Empire. Can you believe that me as a teeny tiny tot used to actually watch the Kenny Everett video show with my dad? I used to sit there when he was watching it and watch it with him. And I would have been like really itty bitty tiny. What was the one in the shop? That was hilarious too. Are You Being Served? All those. I grew up on all those classic British comedies. I don't think you can go. I don't think you can go beyond British comedy. It just. Oh dear. Yeah, some of it was just all in the best possible taste, of course. Yeah, I used to have all the DVDs for The Goodies. I love Kitten Kong. That was one of my favorites. But yeah, absolutely the best of the best. I think, you can see. I think I did watch a bit of Benny Hill, but I can't remember a lot of it. Oh my gosh, Ab Fab. If you loved Ab Fab, you need to hop online and you need to search for the Australian version, like the original, of Kath and Kim, because you will wet yourself laughing. That is one of our brilliant. It's a recent comedy, but it's. I mean, maybe it could be lost in translation because it's very Australian, but it is hilarious. Oh, I love the young ones too. Yeah. Oh my gosh, SNL. No, I'm not sure what SNL is. Now I know that Dad used to talk about Ecky Thumps, but I don't know what that is. Oh my gosh, Blackadder. I think my name is Soto because when people talk to me, and I haven't got this quite right, I will admit, but when people talk to me, they say, "Sod off, Baldrick." I love Blackadder. Oh dear. Kath and Kim. Kath as in short for Kathy. So with K's. So Kath, Kath. Actually, I can put it in comment, can't I? Sorry. Kath and Kim. Absolutely freaking hilarious. Again, it could be possibly a bit too Australian, I'm not sure, but love it. Oh, I know, me too. Yep. Absolutely adored Red Dwarf. But Rimmer, you are a smeghead. Honestly, the quotes that I can pull out for Red Dwarf, for Blackadder, for all of these are frightening. So many things. My dad could do voice impressions really well, so there's a lot of things that just became part of our family culture. And the number of Red Dwarf quotes that still get thrown around between me and my sister. It's disturbing. I love, and I've thrown this out a few times without meaning to in live streams, and then I realise how inappropriate it sounds if people don't know. When occasionally I'll be watching something and someone doesn't get it, and I'll be like, "They're dead, Dave," because it's that wonderful skit in the first episode of Red Dwarf when Dave Lister's going around and he's asking, is Kachansky dead? Is such and such dead? And Holly keeps going, "They're dead, Dave. They're all dead." You have to watch it, but I know I keep throwing that out incidentally. Oh dear. I've got to look for that one. I have to go hunt that. I think a lot of the older American shows, we didn't get a lot of them because we only had one channel. So we got a lot of British comedy. But in terms of American shows, we only had one commercial network. So a lot of these I don't know. But I will definitely have to look that up. Anyway, I think that is definitely my cue to wrap it up. I feel like going and watching some British comedy now. It's really got me going. Oh, Lily Tomlin, legend. So much good comedy, that's for sure. Okay, thank you so much for coming in, guys. If you haven't hit the like button, please do so on your way out. If you're listening on replay, please leave a comment. And please subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And of course, if you're here in the live, still feel free to go and leave as many comments as you like. Look up SNL. I will do that. And what was that one? Glida? BTTV, you'll have to email me that one. Awesome. Thank you, guys. I'll catch you all in the next one.